Hello everyone, my name is Travis and welcome to another episode of my Guardian build breakdown. So, we're currently going to be showcasing, or I guess I'll be showcasing to you, a Arc Warlock build that's going to focus a lot on melee. And as a bit of an aside, or I guess a bit of a hint, it won't be using the Monte Carlo. So, let me go ahead and hop on in and we'll show you what I have. So, for supers, because we have the armor piece that we have here in the background, we cannot use the Chaos Reach unless you want a super short super. So if you want that, then yeah, go ahead. But in my opinion, this armor piece can only allow you to really use Storm Trance because it benefits mostly from this super. And you'll see what I mean when we get there, actually. So you'll see what I mean. But yeah, we're using Storm Trance. For our abilities, we have Healing Rift, although if you really want to, you could use Empowering, actually as an option for here. I'm using Burst Glide, Chain Lightning, mainly because of the Jolt, although you can use either or, both would work in this build. And I'm using Pulse Grenade. If you want to, you can use any of the other ones, but this one is highly recommended because it works with this build. Alright, so, because this is a melee-focused build, we're actually going to be using Lightning Surge. I don't normally use this because I typically use Arc Soul, but I tried using that and it just doesn't work the same as with this setup. So, Lightning Surge is what I'm using here. This allows us to essentially teleport and jolt enemies with our melee when we're running. And Electrostatic Mind, when enemies that are jolted are defeated, they will produce an Ionic Trace. And Ionic Traces help us get our abilities back. And also in this case, with this particular aspect, it will also make us amplified. So we're going to make our way down here. So for fragments, we're using Spark of Discharge to produce extra ionic traces with our arc weapon. Spark of Ions, defeating a jolted target will guarantee that we get an ionic trace. So this could potentially be our second one. Spark of Recharge. So this build has a tendency from time to time to go into the red. So when it does, it allows you to recover your melee and grenade quicker. And Spark of Shock basically will guarantee that your arc grenade will jolt enemies. So this is a good way to put these two together to basically start producing ionic traces. So we're going to hop out of here and we're going straight to the seasonal artifact. So this is what I'm currently using. For the seasonal artifact, we're using Technicolor Siphon, Authorized Mods Melee, Amped Up, Thunderous Retort, Electric Armor, Lightning Strikes Twice, and Shock and Awe. So, if you need to, you can go ahead and copy this. Some of those were just mainly to move the column along. Others do have a meaning, or do have a purpose because of some other builds that might be in the works. But yeah, you have this. If you really just want to focus solely on Arc, then you can switch this out for the Arc mods, authorized Arc mods, and go from there. But we're going to head on out and go to our weapons. So these three weapons basically cover our champions, even though we don't have a sidearm champion mod. We currently have this set for us because of the Volt Shot perk. So let's go with it one at a time. So we have Chroma Rush for our barriers. This is actually also really good because of the Wellspring. Basically allows us to get our abilities back a little bit quicker for each kill we get with this weapon. For Brigand's Law, this was actually my replacement to Monte Carlo, though if you want to use Monte Carlo, you can. It's a very reliable weapon, and I would recommend it if you do not have Brigand's Law. Or if you don't have the Blood Feud, which is a stasis submachine gun that can also roll with the Pugilist perk. So Pugilist is basically like a discounted, what is it? It's like a discounted Monte Carlo ability, the Monte Carlo method. And it basically says final blows with this weapon generate melee energy. Dealing melee damage briefly improves this weapon's handling. So it's actually really useful. Basically, get a kill, you get your melee. You also proc Volt Shot because your next shot will basically shoot arc. It'll hit an enemy. Once you kill that enemy, the arc will I don't want to say ignite, but it will basically charge up and get ready to go, and it will start jolting other enemies. When those enemies die due to jolt that came from your weapon, that actually counts towards pugilist, since it's a weapon kill, and it will sometimes supercharge your melee, and you may just instantly get it back. I've actually found myself testing this weapon, and there were multiple times where I just basically used my melee and I got it right back because of jolt. So this, in conjunction with your ionic traces, should basically mean that you get to keep that melee up almost all the time. And of course, Brigand's Law is really good with the Volt Shot perk anyways. So great way to keep yourself alive. This is a great way to keep your abilities up. And then of course we have Fire and Forget, which is usually just, at this point, is usually used because of the Unstoppables. So yeah, we got that. So for our armor, alright, so armor we have Kinetic Siphon, since we have the Chroma Rush. We have Harmonic Siphon. This acts as a siphon that adapts to whatever subclass you're currently using. Since we're using Arc, it's an Arc Siphon mod. Discounted. So really good to have there. Basically, both of these produce orbs of powers when you get like a back-to-back kills. And the only difference is this is just for regular weapons without an element, and this is for weapons with arc element on it, or the arc element on it. And then of course we have hands-on, since this is a melee build, so no grenades here. What we will have grenades in will be with our gauntlet, so we have momentum transfer. When we cause damage with our grenade, this helps to reduce the cooldown for our melee. So this, in conjunction with Pugilist, basically can guarantee that we get our melee back quite often. Our grenade's also going to produce an orb of power too, so we're not just completely relying on these two for that duty. And then of course we have focusing strikes, so when we do use our melee, this helps to give us some of our energy back for our class ability, so we can keep ourselves alive. For our chest, there's not really much in this department that I can basically say you should have or not have. So we ran with an energy reinforcement, so that way we can keep collecting orbs. And then of course melee damage resistance, so that way we can basically keep ourselves alive at point blank range. So while we're producing our orbs of power, when we go to pick them up, I have Absolution, so it allows us to get all of our main abilities to get a little bit of energy. So that way they'll go ahead and reduce the ability cooldown of all of our abilities. And then we also have a focus in both grenade and melee energy with innervation and invigoration. So with our bond, we have Reaper. Reaper's arguably one of the best mods in this game, or at least that the game could ever produce. Basically, in our case, use your healing rift, get a weapon kill, produce an orb of power, guaranteed. So that can immediately feed into this. We also have outreach, so that when we use our rift, it gives us a bit of energy to our melee, or in this case it reduces the cooldown. And then of course, if we do produce orbs and we don't want to die just to get to them, we have powerful attraction, so that way using our rift we'll send a little shockwave out and collect those orbs. So great way to kind of collect everything without having to actually sacrifice yourself to doing it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this build. The main part of this build is to keep your melee up at all times, and I think this actually does it really well. And if you have mobs of enemies, use that blink ability to your heart's content. It will do some damage, and it will clear enemies out. That, in conjunction with your grenade, just does work. Trust me. And then of course you pair it up with Brigand's Law, you're basically an unstoppable force to be reckoned with. But that's my opinion. This is also my look with this character, so if you want, here is what I'm currently riding with in terms of the looks and the shaders, and also the ornament where you are using the induction ceremony. Otherwise, if you want to see what this originally looks like, that's what this looks like. So as you can see, there's a reason why I picked this. I think it looks better. But that's about it. Thank you guys again for watching this video. Please subscribe for more. I do have more in the works, as you can see here. I have I think I have like 2 or 3 more of these builds currently working on right now, but until we get to that point, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next video of whatever comes up, and yeah, make sure you like and sub. See you guys next time.